Hello, let me show you how I actually created this automated data entry form in Excel. Now, once you enter all your details, you can actually click on the submit button. And then if you come here, you see that our data is automatically exported to this particular sheet that we call database. And then also this button, once you are done entering the details of the employee, you can actually click on this button that says clear, and then it clears the form and makes it ready for a new entry. And of course, you're going to have access. I'm going to drop this particular format in the description. You can download with the code, with everything. Download it and make use of it as the case may be. Thank you. Watch and subscribe. Hello, welcome my YouTube family. Let's create an automated data entry form in this lesson. This format can actually be used to create any kinds of data entry form. Well, I just want to use an employee data entry form in Excel. So let's just use this format, but you can actually use this same format to create any data entry form in Excel. So let's see how we can do that. Now we have, these are the details that we want to use. So once we enter our details, what we can do is just to do some basic formatting. So let me go through the formatting. For example, here we want to match this, and then other format I want to do is that I will put it this way, and then I want to give it a field color, and then I want the text color to be white. Then we want to bold it and then increase the font a little bit. We want to increase the font a little bit this way. And then also I may want to right click on the root height from 15. Let me give it to 17. Yeah, I think this is good. And then this list of names, you want to have it this way as a kind of formatting. We want to have it this way. And then I will increase this a bit, and then increase this a bit, these columns, and then column F, I want to increase it a bit also. I want to increase it a bit, and then decrease this. I want to decrease this also. So we have this. Now, other format that we can do is that where we are going to have our feed, where we'll be entering our data, let's do some formatting to it. Now, the field color, I want to use that. I want to give it this color just to distinguish it from others, and then I will give it an outside border this way. Then to copy this same format to other columns, other cells, I want to double click on my format painters and just paste that same format here. You paste that same format to all others, and then I will press my escape to release the format painters, and then we have it. So this form. Now, other things that we want to do is that for our cells, I want to have a button. So for that, we go to developer, click on developer, and then under insert, then you come to button, then click on it, and then you can drag your button this way, and then right click to edit text. So I want to edit the text this way and say, okay, mail. Then that's it. And then right click again, and then Ctrl D to duplicate. Then I'll have it. Then I'm going to say, okay, edit text, and then I'll change this to female. And then we have this. So I want to right click on this, and then press on my Control key, click on this, Shift key, click on this also, click on this also, and then go to shape format. Here we have shape format. Go to the shape format and go to align. I want to align it, align, so have align middle, click on align middle, and then you can see that the two are aligned. So you can now take it and drag it to where you want to have it. Okay, this is where I want to have it, and then click on OK, and then right click again, and then you can use your arrow key to just move it aside a bit, and then we see. So we have female, we have male, as the case may be. Now under department, I want to have a drop down. So let's go to data to create a drop down. I'll go to data and then data validation. I'm going to say list. Then let's say we have about 3 departments in our organization. Say HR, say account, and then we can say marketing. Say marketing, and then we click on OK, and then you can see down that we have a drop down for all of that. So other thing I'm going to do is that this form, let me give it a kind of, so I'm going to give it an outside border, and then I will go to view to actually see that we untick the grid lines, and then we see the form we are actually creating is actually taking shape. Now other format that we need to do is that for net pay, the net pay is the addition of all these minus the deduction. So let's create a formula for net pay by saying equals to this plus this plus this plus this, then minus this. That's a formula for our net pay. And then all these columns here, all these cells here, they are going to, of course, they're going to enter value into them. So let's create let's give the format by going to number, and then I don't want any decimal. Then I will use 1000 separator, and then I'll click on OK, and then we have it. So, and then for this date, it's going to be date. So let's give it a format also. Let me have a short date there, as the case may be. Then we have our form is actually taking shape. Now other thing that we want to do is that I want to copy this. Let's copy this, Ctrl C, and then I want to paste this here. Then I'll copy this also, Ctrl C, and we want to paste it under this place. Now I will need to remove the lines, the columns, the empty rows in between this. So to do that, just highlight this, and then go to data, and then you just click on filter, and then from the filter icon you can click it, and then after clicking, untick this, and then go ahead to say OK, blank, then click on OK, and then you see that all the blank cells are the one in the blue color. So what do? We simply click on them like this, right click, and then we delete the rows. We delete them. Now you can now unfilter, clear the filter, and then we see that we have all the blank cells are gone. So here I will untick the filtering. I'll go to home, and I will say I don't want a border. Now we have that. So the next thing for us to do is for us to link this cell, that is whatever I enter in this column, in this particular cell, say for I want that particular stuff to come here, and that is what we are going to do. Now let's do that, because we are going to say equals to this. We link the cells together, equals to, then ID, we link it together, then equals to email, we link this together, then equals to date of birth, equals to the date of birth, we link it together, and that's how we are going to actually go. Department equals to department, we also link this together, and then for sales we'll come back to that. For basic salary, we say equals to, this is our salary cell, we link it to it, and then medical, say equals to the medical cell. Insurance equals to insurance, this, and then for housing equals to housing, and then for deduction equals to deduction, have this, then for net pay equals to net pay, then we have it. Now to link, for example, if I enter data in this, all the data will actually be will be shown in this particular places that we have created down here. So what do we do next is for us to fill this form. So let me quickly fill this form. and I'll return to you. Through the form, you can see that we have all the data here. You can simply do it this way to make it align. You can see that we have all our data links together. Now for sales, this is what we're going to do. For us to link this, let's create a kind of a connection. So we right click and then we go to form control, and then where we have the unchecked, I'll click unchecked, then I'll click on this cells, then I will link it to this particular cell here. I'll link it to this particular cell here, I will link it to this particular cell here. Then I'll click on this, and then I'll click on this particular button, and then I'll click on OK, and then you see. So the connection is that whenever I press on the male, it shows 1, and whenever I press on the female, it shows 2. So we can then use our in function to actually return it. So we say equals to, if our logical test is that if this cell is equals to 1, we want it to say okay, we want exec to say okay, male, and then we close the quotation, or else we want it to say female, we want it to say female, and then we close the quotation, we close the parentheses, press on enter. Then you see that whenever I says 2, it says female. Then whenever I click on this and it says 1 and it says male, so we are actually done. Now the next thing for us is for us to record a macro, which we are going to do. Now for us to actually do that, because we are going to actually record a macro for this particular entry data that we are doing. So I want to save it as a macro enable worksheet. So let's save it. I'll click on Ctrl S, and then I want to save it on my desktop, and then I can simply have it as a data entry form, and then I want to save it as a macro enable workbook. It's very important. Then I'll click on OK, and then it is saved. So the next thing for us to do is for us to actually record our macro. So before we record our macro, now this sheet, let's name this sheet as a form. Let's rename it as form. Then let's create another sheet, and then let's rename this sheet as a database. And then what we want to do is that whatever data we enter here, we want Excel to actually export it to this place. So let's create a header for that. So for this, I'm going to copy this, Ctrl C, and then I'll go to my database sheet, go to cell B2, I'll paste. I want to transpose it, so I'll go to space special, I'll paste as value, and then transpose. I'll click on OK. So let me give it a format, and then we have this. So what we want to do is that from basic salary to net pay, it's going to be values. So let's format it as values. So I want to format by going to more number format. I don't want a decimal, I want 1,000 separator. I'll click on OK. For this is going to be date, so let's format it to date, short date, and then we have that. So here the header, you can format that also by coming here. I'll pick this, then the text color white, then I'll bold it, and then I'll increase the font to this. So we have this. Now that we have created where we want our data to be exported to, now we'll go back to our form, and then we can then do what? Record our macro. So to do that, to record our macro, we'll go to developer, click on developer, and then go to record macro, and then it says macro 1, so we can give it a name. So I can call this collect data. Let me name that macro as collect data, and then I'll click on OK. Now our macro has started working. Now the first thing that we have to do is that we go to our database sheet, and then we go to the home tab, click here on this particular cell B3, and then we come under the home tab, we come to insert, where we have insert, and then we say insert sheet row, and then you see that the format of this is automatically copied down. Then we click on this small icon, and then we say format same as below, and then we have this format. So from what we have done, don't forget that our macro is actually taking record of all our steps. So from what we have done, we come to our form, then we copy this data that is here, Ctrl C, and then we go to our database, and then we click here where we have this, and then we want to go to space special, and then I will want to paste as values, and then I will transpose it, and then I will click on OK, and then you can see that everything has been formatted the way we actually want it to be formatted. And then we go back to our form, our data entry form. We go back to that particular form, and then we go to developer, and then we stop macro. We stop recording the macro. Now let's assign the macro. Now what we'll do this time around is that we'll go to insert. I want to use insert, shapes, and then I'll pick this shape, and then I want to draw it this way. Let me draw the shape this way. I want to draw the shape this way. Let me expand it a bit, and then I will right click, and then say okay. Before the right clicking, let me give it a format. Let me have this format. I think I will right click and say edit text. So I want to call this submit. I'll call this submit. Then I will highlight it this way, and then I'll go to home. I want to centralize it, and then increase the font a bit, and then bold it also. Then we have it. So I think this is good. So the next thing for us to do is that we want to assign the macro. So we right click and we go to assign macro, and then this is the macro that we have recorded, collect data, and then we click on OK. We have actually assigned the macro. Now from here, let me just change this employee ID to, let's say, 102, and then we simply click here, submit, and then let's go to our database, and then we see the new record. This is the new record that we have just submitted. You can see the employee ID 102. So what we have done is that whatever record we enter in our form here, the macro takes that form, takes that data, and actually bring it here the way we actually specified. So let's record a macro that will actually clear this data for us. So I'll go to macro, to the developer. I will say record macro. Let me name this as clear data. That's the name of the macro, and then I will click on OK. Now this next page, I'm not going to touch this cell. So all others, I'm going to delete this. I will 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 delete this. And then we have deleted all the data from the form. And then I'll say stop macro. Then I'll go to insert once again, shapes, and then I want to pick this shape and draw another one this way, like this, side by side. I want to draw a side by side this way, and then I want to have it this color. Then I will edit text. I will edit the text and say okay, clear. I will call it clear, and then I will do the basic formatting. I say put it increase the font a bit, then bold it, and then we have this. So we have the submit, we have the clear. So the next thing for us to do now, let's test whether this macro is actually working. So let's assign the macro, assign macro. Then this is the macro we recorded, clear data, and then I will just say okay. Now let's test whether this macro is actually working. Now let me quickly fill this form again and see whether the macro is working. It's actually working. I'll click on submit. Let's go to our database. We see that we have the new data here, new employee here, and then the form clear. You click on clear, and we see that clear button also is working. It's actually ready, and clear the data for us to enter a new record. So we have two buttons, the submit and the clear button. Now that we have actually tested the two macros and they are working, another thing that we can do is that we can blow out these spaces to just make our form more unique. So I'm going to say here, I will just blow out this way and then give it this color, and then from here to these places I will give it this, and then here you can see I want to blur this out so that it look like nothing is there but something is actually there. So what I will do is that for the text color, I will select the same color for the text color, the same color you can see for the text color, and then I will then blur it out this way. I will go this way and then blur it out, and then you see that it looks as if nothing is there but something is actually there. So we have, you can see that our form is now distinctively you can see it. Let me expand my screen a bit, and then we see the form that we have created. Thank you for staying with me. If you have learned anything in this lesson, please subscribe.